They had it, yeah. There's this one thing in the Thomas Edison part where it's like, I have to phone call someone and the neighbors like, hang up, oh, this is Joe. And sometimes they'll just, say that even after all this time. No, it's no, I guess.
If there isn't one, then we can.
Then it'll be fun.
Yeah, we can just.
Yeah, but we'll do it anyway.
It's streaming.
Yeah.
There's
Oh, is this on?
what did you plug in?
I plugged it into HDMI.
It should be on. There are 7 people on the stream watching.
Oh, nice. Hello, streamers.
Yeah, cool. We're gonna take a look.
Let's see. Duplicate. Oh, yeah, it's a PC screen only. Let me try duplicating. Can I do it? No. Do you know what's going on there?
I don't. It has just been working when it's been plugged in. Do you have another HDMI?
No, this is the only
Only
HDMI.
one? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we can try your laptop.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh. Are you taking photos as well?
Yeah, it's gonna be like grab pictures.
I'll just read through this.
It got so quiet at the end of the day here, but there's still quite a few people watching on the stream. So.
Yes, there is.
I know, Dad, a couple of my friends are
Hi,
watching.
Mom.
Cool, awesome.
I've enjoyed all the talks today. They've been so good.
This is really good talks today. Really, really, really awesome. Awesome quality content.
I don't think we need the internet.
Alright, I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
not
let me-
work, it doesn't work with the internet.
Oh, really? Okay.
The MIT guest should be open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have an HDMI? Oh, there's no HDMI there.
Do you have VGA?
No, she has a HDMI. It's here.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's right there. Right.
Okay.
Right. Hello, streamers. Welcome to Attaining Appeal with Little Grimm. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to start off by introducing yourselves. Yeah, so my name is Emmanuel Malaya. I am one of the programmers and producers on Little Grimm.
Hi, Ellen, I'm one of the artists and UI UX designers.
I'm Tom. I'm designer programmer on this game.
Mm-hmm. And this is Dean. This is our friend who couldn't make it. He's from Ireland, but he was one of the programmers. And I'd like to give a big thanks to everybody who's ever worked on Little Grimm. So what is Little Grimm? Well, Little Grimm is a mobile Slither.io-like game where you are a reaper in training collecting souls through procedurally generated levels. We worked on this with MassDiGI through their summer innovation program internship. and continued working on it throughout their live studio classes. We eventually released on April 17th and actually came to an interesting find. We actually reached 3,000 downloads within 1 week, which was really nice for us as students. And we were curious as to how this was happening. We saw that it was, we saw that there was a lot of installs from European regions, and we eventually found out that it actually got featured in the UK. So how did that happen? We asked. Was it just luck? Well, luck definitely played a part in it, but I don't think it was entirely just luck. There was many appealing features of the game that people found appealing, and we feel that that the ones that like gameplay, like ones like the atmosphere, like gameplay, and marketing, really helped contribute to it getting featured. And I think the best person to actually start us off is Ellen about atmosphere.
Alright. So one of the things that we were looking for in atmosphere was creating a unique art style to make the game stand out. So what Jenny, the lead artist, and I did was we experimented with different art styles, played around with many comps, including the games that you see up here. We eventually settled with a gothic shock aesthetic, and we rode with it for the rest of our time working on it.
Mm-hmm. For music, we wanted to make it very memorable, so we put an emphasis on melody, and it also actually helped give a childlike atmosphere to the game. And even with different music tracks, we kept that same melody. So while it was refreshing to hear this new sound all the time, it had that similar sound that you can remember from, throughout the game, and it really drove it into your head that you're playing this game. We also included a lot of soothing sound effects, so like piano sounds when you're collecting different souls and entering portals. It really added to the atmosphere.
Okay, so the next thing that we did was the character design. For the player character, we wanted to give them cute childlike features because, well, they're a child. Simple look and color palette, and make them easy to identify in gameplay as opposed to everything else, which had a much more detailed appearance and a much wider color palette. For animation, we wanted to emphasize Little Grimm's childlike behavior and the fact they were a child. So we put a ton of animation into them, make them act their age, as you can see up above, here, and they spawn. When they get hurt, which never got into the game, by the way, and also when you got a game over. So anyways, when we were working on the prototype, this is the first design that we went with, and then we moved on to production. We did a visual overhaul. We played around with different appearances, different looks, tried to make them cute and creepy at the same time, and eventually we just settled with the final design, which you can see up above. And now we're going to talk about gameplay.
Alright, so for gameplay, our intention was to focus on simplicity of the Snake game. We focus on two major gameplay components, which is movement and UI. We really wanted to make it smooth gameplay with clear visual aesthetics to it. So as you can see, we showed a lot of tutorials. Our tutorials are based on animations and only UI, no text as much. And we try to make sure that people understand it by just playing without really reading up. So at first, our game was, we tested our game through simple prototypes, and we started out with movements of a normal Snake game. Then we added more elements. We tried to test out the art with prototypes with kids and our mentors. then we noticed that the game is not as interesting in the progression. So we added elements like levels to the game and then swapped the food to souls. And as you can see, we extended the snake length of the snake, and then we added scores, added more elements to the gameplay, and then essentially we came up to the idea that this game has to be infinite. So we ended up making an infinite snake game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, now to talk about marketing. Well, I gotta be honest, actually. It was all Dean. It was Dean's idea. He figured it all out. No, it wasn't exactly all Dean. But to go into it, we started off with a very traditional way that a lot of MassDiGI games start off is creating a Facebook and Twitter account and making as many posts as we can on a regular basis. However, we really wanted to make it stand out. And we eventually settled on actually making the posts almost have like this, like give this feeling that Little Grimm is the one that's posting. So if you can actually, the next slide, you can actually see here that we not only did that, but we also actually added a little bit of story and little hints of story, adding different characters and even kind of like putting little comics to make people's imagination run wild. We even included a lot of like festive posts as well, which a lot of people really enjoyed. In terms of advertising the game, we of course did the traditional post boosting on Facebook and posting as much as we can to try out our game. But we also, right before release, we wanted to post this on as many websites as possible. So we posted on websites like Pocket Gamer and Touch Arcade in order to get more people looking into it. We also contacted as many influencers as we can and used as many connections as we could. If we had any connections to any very popular people, we would do that. And actually, in fact, at least one person who had 10,000 followers decided to post about Little Grimm, which was really nice. So I think the App Store page may be one of the most important things to get people into your app, especially the icon. This is going to be the first thing that people see. So we created a lot of designs and we compared them all. And we really wanted to find one that focused on simplicity and was also attention grabbing. We even used tools like AppSparky, which you can find on the internet, to compare against other app icons. We eventually settled on this one, which actually, there's a lot behind it. Why we eventually found out that it was so attention grabbing. Being a character rather than an inanimate object, and also even looking at you with these dilated pupils, are some aspects that other app developers have found really helps with their engagement with the icon. In terms of the page, and specifically the name, Little Grimm, there's this one theory that because Little Grimm has two M's, very similar to Brothers Grimm, which is actually very popular in Europe, that might be one of the reasons why it eventually did get featured. But we also tried to make a very carefully worded description, and we kind of followed very similar steps to how other developers did it. Very short, one paragraph. Start off with a first sentence summary of your game, followed by 1 to 2 sentences of some of the features you'll find, and end it with a question, which actually provokes a little bit of action from the user and can entice them into playing. We also included popular tags from games that actually were very similar to Little Grimm in order to get those people who play those games to actually search and maybe find Little Grimm. So in closing, we're really proud of our game. We're happy how it turned out. We learned so many lessons along the way, as you can actually see in the past slides. And I would have to say a lot of the takeaways you should get from this is do your research beforehand, before you even start developing. Remember to do as much research as you can, and even comps, finding games that are very comparable to what you want can also help in communication between your team members, in figuring out how you want a game to be stylized or how you want it to play. Experiment as much as you can. Try to make it as interesting as possible. Try to do things like paper prototyping or A/B testing, and of course play testing across different events. Don't shy away from marketing. Market as early as possible. I think that's been said in many of these talks, but you really have to market. And of course have fun making your game, because a happy team can, not all the time, but most of the time equal a happy game.
Yep.
And here's some quotes from some of the people who played Little Grimm. This one really liked the atmosphere and character design, and they felt like they wanted some dialogue, but they found that like the part of the thing that enticed them, they considered it a success. And Dean, again, his favorite quote, which is actually from a little girl who decided to dress up as Little Grimm. She was hunting for Halloween costumes, and after playing the game, she was deciding, and she eventually settled on a Grim Reaper costume because she loved Little Grimm. Of course, she says Happy Halloween too, and gave it 5 stars. That is like the best thing you can ever say to any person about their game. That they made a choice based on your game. And well, thank you for listening. We hope it was very informative and going to help you in your future games.
Dean was watching on the stream, by the way, and commenting.
Yeah. So you can reach us at these handles, and also reach out to Little Grimm, because he's no, he needs a lot of friends. Okay. So we're up for any questions. Yes.
So I saw a great session at Boston Fig Talks like 3 years ago from Disruptor Beam, and they were doing really, really extensive A/B testing to figure out which things best impacted player engagement with the games. And they, like, for example, found some surprising things like the icon for their game, if they changed it from red to blue, or they made some other trivial seeming changes that actually had a lot of impact. Do you have any thoughts about like whether there might be a strategy that you might consider using in the future for A/B testing, both things related to marketing and like aspects of your gameplay?
Well, I would say, based on what I previously said about like using AppSparky, especially like some of these online tools that will basically plant your icon against multiple icons and give you multiple different views from different devices, just to see how well it stands out. And also, I have to say that a lot of like what Becker students as a whole, we learn a lot from Disruptor Beam, because they tend to come and invite us and talk about kind of like their strategies, and we try to capture those strategies as much as possible.
Yeah, to add to that, I actually was on that talk too.
Oh,
and I actually learned from that to be able to actually have the testing our apps like icons. One thing I wanted to add to that is actually testing several icons with different regions, especially in Asia. I know that people tend to gravitate toward different icons than in Western media. So I think it's better to do surveys and do a lot of like those icon testing in different regions rather than just one local one.
Do you have any thoughts about whether that would also extend to like gameplay or gameplay design or graphic arts design in a game? Like maybe.
Yes. Screenshots definitely makes a lot of difference to when deciding to download the game. That action to download the game is really purely based on visual aesthetic of the game. Definitely different regions have different tastes to it. Yeah. So that's so far.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
You.
I am a little bit just curious more about the marketing aspect. Have you found that, and it's really great that like you have reviews where somebody's saying that the game sort of inspired them to change something about what they're doing in their lives. Have you felt that there was like avenues where you could sort of have a back and forth kind of like dialogue or interaction with people who are actually like fans of it, or when you're talking about marketing early, sort of like establishing that repertoire with people who might be fans, like early fans of your games?
Especially during development, though, that had always been like a challenge that we've been trying to do, especially. But we did find that, I think Facebook is a little less, but Twitter seems to be a really good avenue for reaching out to your fans, as you can message back and forth and retweet and do all of this. I would have to say, out of both Facebook and Twitter, even though we had more people that followed us and liked us on Facebook, we ended up having a lot more people actually talking about our game, and even like saying that I installed the game on Twitter, and they would react to our posts, and they would say, hey, this is really awesome. Here's my little doodle of Little Grimm. How do you like it? And we would say, it's amazing. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Anything to add so far?
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks a
good.
lot.
Thank you so much.
Closing it out.
Thank you very much.
Okay, of course.